Hello everybody, and another special welcome to all of you. I recently showed you a possibility how you can stitch a zipper into a skirt. Now here is another way of doing it. It is very simple and basically, or the basic is very similar to the first one as I showed you. So in case if there's any questions while you're watching this one, maybe watch the first one again or first. That will probably make it easier for you to understand what I mean to say or what I'm saying in the beginning of this second one. As I'm saying, they're both quite similar, but this version that I'm showing you now is just a little bit more elegant for my taste. So let me show you how you can do it. The exact preparation of your skirt parts you can watch very closely on my first video if you wish. Otherwise, here is a very fast repeat of it. Make sure you have at least a 2 cm seam on your back seam in the middle. Iron it open then, leave the space open for your zipper, clean the edges off with the overlock, stitch your darts and iron them flat. On the lining, you do it very similar. You have to do your darts, and you can see very well on my first video how I put the zipper in, as you can see it here. The only difference on this particular zipper for this particular way to do the whole stitching in is right here on the top, because on my first video I left the zipper straight lying flat as you can see it now. But first I put this little loop in for a button, which I like to have in the back of my skirt, because it's always a fiddle if you do not have a loop and a button there, because you got to hold the top to be able to close the zipper. And if by just putting in this little loop and a button later on the other side, it makes it so much easier. Now, as I just mentioned before on the first video, I stitched it down all the way to the top flat. On this version, I will fold just the top of this one side a centimeter over. So I'm checking how will it look when I turn it over. Now I'm just lying the first centimeter of my zipper part over and stitch it down. If you check it now, then you see this will be all nice and clean and tidy in the inside of your skirt. Now go to your iron and iron it flat, which makes it easier for the next steps of the sewing you have to do. Now take your main material and put it right side on right side. And first of all, where on the side you want to start stitching, check it if your seams of the two darts will fit exactly on top of each other, which should do. And you can see here I ironed the darts of the lining and the main material to the opposite sides, which makes it nice and flat and not bulky when my seam up there is finished and when I'm wearing the skirt. So I'm checking that from my dart to the zipper I do have the fitting the right lengths. So start on the side seam. If you added a centimeter like I did, then stitch your centimeters over the darts towards the zipper. Now before you get to the zipper, fold it over towards the left side, and now check how your main material will go around it, because it has to nicely go around the edge. I'm sorry, my hand is a little bit in the way. I didn't see this until I'm doing the talking over now. But now you can also see you should have a little space from your ironed over fold there from the main material towards this fold over from your zipper, because it has to later on really fit all the way to the edge of the zipper. Now I'm just stitching it on straight. I haven't folded the main material over, as you can see, so you can check again if this is really the way you want it. Now I'm folding it exactly on my 2 centimeters ironed edge over, and I finish this 1 centimeter seam that I started doing on this top. So turn it inside out, push the corner out neatly, and now check how this looks to you, because you want it now to go exactly against your little zipper parts there, or even slightly cover it totally. And there is your loop. Now to continue, I turn it back because it makes it look tidier for me, and it's lying better on the machine. On this side, the same. I will check, will my ironed over edge go exactly over the zipper, because this one really has to cover it now. But therefore also I got to look for my dart, because I want these dart seams to be exactly on top of each other. Otherwise it's not really professionally and nicely made. Now when you just lie it over and down like this, you see there must be a 2-3 millimeter standover, or 4 millimeter even if you wish, from your zipper edge towards the ironed over fold, because that is the part that will cover your zipper on this side, as well as the other one that's slightly sticking out yet. So check it again. Checking is one of the most important things always when you do the sewing, because it's too late if you stitched it together already, the parts, and then they don't fit. You got to start opening up, and that's no fun, believe me. So you can see when I'm holding this, at the moment it goes exactly against the edge. So what I do is I let it roll back a little bit, just like that. And there I got my 3 or 4 millimeters when I fold it over now. Then I got my overstand, which will cover totally nicely my zipper, and that's how I want it. So for you, to make it easy, don't fold the ironed over edge over yet. Just put a couple of stitches in to hold it for you, which makes it now easy to turn it over. And now you start your normal centimeter seam on the edge there of the zipper. Look for your darts right away. And do your 1 centimeter seam, or if you added 1.5, which I don't suggest, but maybe you've done that, then of course you have to sew it in the widths that you did the allowance of your seam. So now just turn your 2 corners inside out, nice and neatly. With some pointed part, I usually do this with my scissors. Of course you got to be careful not to push anything through. Now turn it to the right side and close your zipper, because you have to check now if this fits exactly, because that has got to lie as flat as you can see it here. Then it makes it really easy to do the next step. That's got to be even, because if that would be on one side higher or lower, look what I'm showing you there, that would be wrong, because then you would have width somewhere, and there's no way you could stitch this on neatly so it looks professional and nice. So I open the zipper again, and I first start on the, so I call it the underneath of the zipper, because this is the part you're actually not going to see at all. I mean, the seam you will not see. So I start on the top, and you have to see what your zipper foot or your foot from the sewing machine will do. Maybe it pushes you slightly away. You can now try to cover the zipper over totally, so it's edge on edge there. But it's not really necessary. The slightly noses from the zipper can still show out, because it will be covered by the 3-4 millimeters we left on the other side. Now, if you notice your foot doesn't like to stitch over this, because it likes to push it away, well, then it's no problem. Then you look for where do you have some patterns lying around next to you, because, you know, I always tell you, use patterns for so many things. It's so helpful. It's unbelievable. So now you can see it's really easy, because my pattern is holding it so good and so well in position. My needle is running just along my little pattern that I got there. I'm looking underneath again to make sure there's nothing else that I might by accident would stitch down with a needle. And now I gotta close my zipper first to be able to continue. and I stitch all the way into the corner where my zipper starts or finishes, however which end you're looking at it here. And I stitched 1 millimeter away from the ironed edge. Now there you can either stitch back and forward and start on the other side going up, but I just put one little step across the seam there. Now I'm checking again, is it lying flat the way I want it? And I don't want to make a straight stitching going over. I like to have it slightly tilted sideways because it makes it look a little bit nicer. You can also see this if you look on some skirts or trousers where there are zippers and like that. It looks nicer if it's not a straight line across. Again, I use my pattern. I put 3 or 4 stitches sideways across, whichever width I like to go upwards now next to the zipper. I look again underneath, check everything, always checking, that's so important. And again here, I'm putting my pattern on because I can lie it exactly in the width I want to stitch upwards. You can measure again also on the bottom and on the top, and you can say, okay, that's my 12, 13, 14 millimeters that I would like to stitch along that zipper upwards, and it's perfectly, and it's flat, and nothing is pushing, nothing is pulling. It's all the way from bottom to top, a nice stitched in zipper. There you have to open it up, and don't forget always when you open the zipper or close it, leave your machine needle in the material so it doesn't move around to some place where you wouldn't like to have it. All right, look at what you've done. Is it correct? Is it all nice lying flat exactly as you wish? Yep. And there you see my nice little sideways stitching there. Now you can decide what do you want to do with the top. There you got to put your little button on, which makes it so nice to put the skirt on. You close the button, it holds it, and then you can close the zipper. It's so much easier than if you do not have that little button there on the top. On the actual waist, you can decide if you want to just iron it down or if you want to stitch it down. But first of all, of course, you have to stitch now the sides together before you do the seam on the bottom and before you totally finish the skirt off then. Now I show you again the left side because also that should look neatly when you're finished with this. Well, my sewing friends in the world, this is it for today. I like to say a very special thank you to all of you again for watching my videos, for please giving me some thumbs up and maybe nice comments. And if you're writing to me from somewhere at the end of this world, wherever it is, let me know where you're writing from. I always like to read if somebody says, I'm writing from Australia, I'm writing from South America. Let me know about it. I look forward to it, and I'm wishing you a good time. God bless you, and please come around again. Goodbye.